Yeah, right there.
Speaking of things that feel lovely, we should probably talk about the 6-month time arc.
Ugh.
I'm really excited about this one. So this one actually starts off right. I'm just finding my notes here.
This is right when we got back, right?
Yeah, this is right when we got back from Barmwich. Also, we're going to be talking about stuff that immediately followed the Barmwich arc. So if you have no idea what happened in the Barmwich arc, never fear. Parts 1 through 4 are up on our both our YouTube and are also here on Twitch. The full episodes of Chatwater are up if you want to hear all the banter, but I've truncated them down. So if you just want to hear the lore, the history and lore section here on Twitch, they are up permanently as part of our highlights. So you can go find them there. I'm also in the process of mixing an audio-only recap of the Barmwich arc, which is 4 hours of previously unheard content, which is the audio recordings that I did in my car after every session.
I love those ones.
So I'm going to release that on YouTube as a YouTube exclusive. It'll be super raw audio. There's a lot of there's a lot of like weird jokes and me being or having to be very quiet because my daughter is asleep in the next room. So I can't wait to release it to you. I'm in the process of editing it, but 4 hours of content takes time. So it'll be up soon. So we're going to chat about episodes tonight, 58, 59, and onward, which give us kind of the lead up to the Vel Soom arc, which starts when we headed to Manta in the Forgotten Expanse in episode 67. So the stuff with Vel Soom had been percolating for a while at this point, but we'd never met Vel Soom, and he'd always been a bit more of a distant, kind of silent threat. We'd heard about him through Kokanee, but this us coming home to Wulfrene after Barmwich, the 6-month time gap is it's one I think a really quintessential Blackwater part of the Blackwater timeline, because so much happened during those 6 months that I think really cemented us as a party, and cemented us as characters and what we were doing as people in this world. And then at the end of this little mini arc, the stuff with Vel Soom really kicked off, and we were off to Manta in the Forgotten Expanse on the hunt for the seals, which is actually quite close to where we started streaming. So we'll basically do because we started streaming at session 72, 73. So between 67 and 73, we only had 5 sessions prior to when we started streaming, which is what everyone has seen so far if you're caught up. So yeah, should we start talking about the 6 months?
Let's talk about
This is my favorite little bit of time.
I love time jumps because it's so much fun. I mean, we did this with Dresda where we had a week. Well, we got back after the most stressful fucking arc we've ever done, which we talked about with the meat prison.
Barmwich was so stressful.
Brains getting eaten. And Tim just says, your characters have 6 months. What do you want to do? We let him know in advance what we were kind of thinking of, so he could sort of prep some stuff. And then we just went to town. And Lennon, take it away.
Is this when we got back from here? I don't even remember. My brain, man, it's so important to my character, but right now my brain is just mush. It's just a big bowl of porridge up there. Is this when we got back from Barmwich? Is this when the proposal happened?
It is. So that's what happens in episode 58. Spoilers. So this episode is titled, or session 58, titled "At Last." We get home, and Kamea essentially fills us in on what had happened after Cora ditched and left. She dipped hard. So the coronation went on as planned, 5 days before we got home. She was last seen 2 days before. And then the city wasn't actually, and then she'd just gone. And the city wasn't aware of the Queen's disappearance in the slightest. And the council thought it was best to kind of keep it under wraps. Because the city, they were worried that the city might think it was a coup to get rid of Cora because she was this brand new queen, and then she was just gone. So we go to the council meeting, we see Kazim, we tell the whole story, we give Nissa a bunch of our weird stuff that we got from the Illithids, and we're here, and she's give this all to me, I just want to look at it. And we also learned that our keep had been completed to our specifications in the time that we had been gone, because we'd just been living at Kamea's house from this point.
Yeah.
So it was really nice.
Mish, you're gonna fall. Mish.
Did he bail?
He did.
He did.
And that was mostly me trying to keep my headphones connected so you didn't go from headphone audio to in-life audio.
Laptop on the floor. So we go to, we stop by the Temple of Nephthisiket. There's new priestesses that are there. We cremate Fildo, but don't give him burial rights because Neppy was ticked off.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy. So we said no burial rights for him.
If I recall,
go ahead.
Kokanee finished his church and
yes,
yeah,
that was during the 6 months. That was during
sorry, we're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
Oh, sorry.
We're not there yet. No, that's okay. I love that. We will get there. So we go and we pick up Chatwater. Sean's really excited to get there. So we go and we see all of our rooms at the house. And it's wonderful and delightful. And we all spent I think in this session an hour talking about what our rooms in the house.
This was such a just talk. Oh my God, sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
It's a Monday. I'm so sorry. This whole I think because we've done the Feywild arc, right?
Yes, we had so it went Feywild, then Barmwich, then the 6 month arc.
Because this is I'm just gonna give the own little Callie brain backstory here for a second, just because
please do it.
So in game, in all the sessions we've been playing through the Feywild, before the Feywild, and then through Barmwich, Callie knew herself that she was going to propose to Kamea.
Yeah.
She found those rings. We went to Adonis once, and Callie was like, "Can I see your rings?" Everyone was like, "What?" And Callie was like, "Shut up, it's nothing." I'm just looking at rings. And she picked out multiple different rings, and then she was pretty sure on the ring she was going to give Kamea. And then she asked Kamea's mom,
yes,
which one she thought was best, and Callie was like, "That's the one I thought too." And then when we were in the Feywild, Kamea's mom gave a letter to Callie to give to Kamea. And Kamea hadn't seen her parents in forever. So
yes.
This whole time going through Barmwich and stuff, Callie was like, "Guys, how am I going to do this? I can't just be here's a crucial letter to your life. And this is probably really hard for you. Also, will you marry me?" So Callie was like, "I got to space it out. I can't give her detrimental information or maybe upsetting information and then ask her to marry me. That's not great. I can't do that." So
yes.
The first
I think too that you were just basically I can't ask Kamea to marry me. And I was like, yes, you can. Absolutely you can.
Oh, yeah, because Lennon, commitment scary. Callie, love commitment. Lennon,
love stability.
Because I think we've talked about this on Chatwater though, but how in the car rides home from D&D, I'd be like, you'd be like, "What's gonna happen with Kamea?" And I'd be like, "Well, we've only been dating for 2 days in game. Nothing's gonna happen with Kamea. What the fuck? Excuse you guys."
Yeah.
And they were like, no. It's not
2 days
D&D time.
Yeah, D&D time. That's all escalated. Someone in the chat is asking about the corrupt Queen of Wulfrene, Cora Thorngate. Yes, she mysteriously disappeared. And she was if you're wondering where she is, head back and watch the Barmwich arc because the stuff at the end of what happened with Cora. So we get back to the council meeting, and basically all of this information is secret. The city doesn't know that she's disappeared. We'll release it in a little bit. And they're just queenless for the time and just governing. They're just governing as the council of the 6 of them. It's Nissa is on the council, Wendell, who's the treasurer, Andaz, who is a council person, Kazim, who's the admiral, Kamea, a council person, and Solgar, who's the head of the army at this point. And Neppy asks why in all of the 9 helds did you vote for Cora? And they're like, well, we just did. And I was like, yeah, because she charmed you and you didn't pay attention to us when we told you that. So they decide to wait 6 months. Mm-hmm. And they've, they nominate Kamea officially to be queen, and they vote in the room while we're there. And of course we don't get a vote. But they vote and they accept her in, and they're going to basically wait 6 months and then coronate her as queen. And she accepts the nomination because we'd been pushing Kamea to go for queen for so long.
Moment, you bringing out that moment just brought up I think it was Callie's cringe in me, because like I'd forgotten about it until he brought that moment. That's when Callie tried to smoothly tap her girlfriend on the shoulder to be like, you should do this, and just like biffed it, like didn't make a good save, and just like put her hand on her shoulder, and just wasn't smooth at all, the slightest.
Because I think Callie and Kamea were still secret at that point. It wasn't like out there that you two were dating or together.
No, I think they always knew.
Was it out there? Yeah.
Yes.
And so she accepts, and like she sees us out of the meeting. She's really excited. We're gonna throw a party that night to discuss everything. What you call it? So we go pick up the jar and the patch. We go to our keep. I will go through all that. I'm sure there will be some point where we talk about what our rooms look like, because everyone had very specific, discussions of what room looks like. And then we head back to the house. We make some preparations for the party, and then Callie talks to Kamea, giving her the letter from her mom. And then they just like, there's dancing going on in the background, and it's just like a beautiful, wonderful party. Like Neppy's pulled Kokanee onto the dance floor. Everyone is like around, and it's lovely. And then they like both propose to each other.
Kamea proposed to Callie.
Yeah, so cute.
That moment was so sweet, because like Kamea pulled me off to the side, and I wasn't expecting it. So Lennon started crying, and I was like, no, I wanted to do this. And Kamea was like, that whole thing, Kamea was like, I don't have a ring. And she started doing her proposal. And then Callie was like sobbing and just pulled out a ring for Kamea, like in the middle of this party. And then how you guys all found out was Jar ran over to you, and guy was like, Callie and Kamea are crying. And like,
we were like, what?
so sweet. Yeah, that was so good, because like I was planning on proposing to Kamea, and so was Callie. Like that whole time she's like, I'm gonna propose to her, like letter, gonna give her some time to process that, and then proposal. I'm also only in town for a little bit, I think, so letter, time, proposal. Like that's how Callie's brain went, and then she got proposed to.
And then basically at the end of that session, Tim was just like, you have a joyous, wonderful evening, and now we're going to do a time jump. The next session will be you working out what these 6 months are, what you do during these 6 months. Finnan also wasn't with us at this time. He had gone off on his own as a little quest to find himself after the stuff happened down in the Underdark, after his brain got eaten. And so he
there is canon stuff that happened along there. I think he learned how to forge. He also fought a troll at some point. I don't know the details.
I think he spent a lot of time like going from small village to small village, traveling around, meeting with folks, and kind of justifying his time, like what he'd been doing. And I think Adam explained it, that it was just basically like, you folks were all like, we were level 8s when he met up with the party. He's like, Finnan was a level 8 because he'd been just given these parties. So he had to go kind of work through all of the stuff that someone does from levels 1 to 8, which I think was lovely. And then we just went into like, what do we do for 6 months? And I think we all like planned stuff. And then Tim just kind of narrated us through it. Kind of like that episode we did where we were that 2-week time jump, which was so nice. What did letters do during the time jump?
It wasn't just letters, but the entire gravel pit and Blackwater Bar and Grill and Firebrand Cafe were all excavated underneath the Blackwater Keep.
Yes.
The Blackwater Bar and Grill was opened, and this is how Neppy came to be a gravel boy.
Yes.
Gorge, Clack, and Krager and Letters were all working day and night underneath to like make stuff, like to flesh out what the gravel pit looks like. And we were not subtle about it. And Neppy, who hears everything, like came down at like 2 a.m. and was like,
after taking a bath, it was just like, are you guys okay? She just knocked on the door and was like, is everything all right?
We're like, yeah, we're fine.
She was in her robe.
She was just in a bathrobe at that point.
She was in her robe.
Are you guys all right? And I was perfectly prepared to leave. And I was like, okay, all right, that's fine. And then you were like, don't you want to be a gravel boy? It was just like, okay, sure. What do I have to do to be a gravel boy? So Neppy was the first non-Minotaur and Petch gravel boy.
Non-Scar native.
The non-Scar native
Oh my
gravel
God.
boy. And that is a title I hold very strongly. Thank you very
For
much.
gravel boys, is it just Callie, Finnan, and Yana that aren't gravel boys?
Yes.
Yes.
And Kamea and Jar and Kot. Well, no, Kotis is not a gravel boy, not yet.
Not yet.
Well, yeah, Kamia's.
Leppy's been through her initiation though.
Yeah.
She has.
Kokanee also went through the initiation. He had to
He
fight
did?
a Gigapatch.
I don't
Yes.
think. I think Callie has a different relationship with like Clack. I don't think Callie needs to be a gravel boy.
Well,
Callie also,
I don't think you
will
can
say,
be because we know you're anti-Spider Dome.
anti-spider, but also in Callie, like, has stated and will probably continue to state how much she hates being underground. It doesn't fit.
Yes.
Callie hates being underground. She fucking hates it.
That's our whole thing. We just keep digging
She hates
deeper
it. Yep.
and getting
Deeper
hotter.
and deeper
It
and
is
deeper.
so the gravel pit. I don't think we've ever made it official. Is a kind of a dojo. It's just basically an ultimate man cave. It's sort of a low ceilinged, like 30-foot space.
Yes.
That looks not dissimilar to the ground from the Cell Games arc from Dragon Ball Z, if we got any OGs watching. There are a series of bunks with hammocks, which is the preferred sleeping means in the Scar, where all the Petch and letters hang out. And then there's a small cafe known as the Firebrand Cafe, which is different from the Blackwater Bar and Grill.
It's for
Blackwater
gravel boys
Bar and
only.
Grill, open to the public. Tad is also a gravel boy.
Tad is also a gravel boy.
The Firebrand Cafe is just a small, it's basically a bar with chairs. Yeah. That is only accessible to gravel boys and technically a gravel buddy, but only while he's on the clock. That's a new rule for Bilber.
Oh my God.
This has been very thought out.
My brother.
And this is why. Well, no. We hired him, and so like the excavation is accessed through the gravel pit, and there is also a secret chamber in which we set up. This is why we needed Neppy, is because we needed to set up the brain drug making mechanisms that we found in the Underdark.
Right.
And so there is a secret door.
Yes.
There is a secret door. I won't say how it opens because somebody's listening. But there is a secret door with a secret password that is canonical and written down that gives you access to the brain drug room. And
I think at this point only only Letters, Neppy, and Kokanee have passwords for can get in that room.
I think. Damn, there was. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. Just in the sense of Blackwater Bar and Grill, I've just thought about this now. Kamea going in to go meet Bilber in the Blackwater Bar and Grill. She made a comment about how she's never really been there. Or hasn't. I think in that it's canon that Callie also hasn't really been there because every time we're home and you guys go and party in the Blackwater Bar and Grill, Callie's like, okay, I'm gonna go see my wife. Bye. And she's just not really down there because she doesn't.
I think you were both there for the grand opening, but that's it.
I think that's it. I think that's really the only time Callie's been there. Kamea and Callie don't really go and eat at the Bar and Grill because
I can also say too, she's the queen. I can imagine it'd be very hard to be out in public.
Yeah, we go find a little forest spot. We're both little forest girls who are just like, hee.
So Letters did all the stuff with the Blackwater Bar and Grill. You should probably also tell them about getting heisted. About the heist with Latour.
Oh yeah. So there were a couple spells that me and Yana both wanted. Notably, I wanted to disguise self spell. Because I'm a Minotaur, I'm famous, I get spotted everywhere, I stand out. Sometimes I don't want to look like me. And so we met this gentleman called Latour, who was a self-described con man. And he was like, here's the thing, I'll trade you the spells, but you need to get us an earring that belongs to the queen. And we're like, oh, we can do that. And so we're like, this is going to be a heist. And then it was me and Yana and Clack. All being like, how are we going to heist this earring? And basically we got 2 steps into it and it wasn't going well. And we're like, let's just ask her. And so we just went up to fucking Kamea. We're like, Kamea, you're rich as hell. You're the queen. Can we have one of your earrings for this guy we met?
I forget about this until you guys bring it up. Every single time I forget about this. So I'm willing to bet money that Callie and Kamea also forget about this because you didn't come up and find them. You went up to Callie and Kamea's room. Kamea came to the door, opened it a little bit, was like, hello? Callie popped her head out behind Kamea and was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You were like, can we have an earring? And we're like, yes, shut the fuck up and go. Gave you an earring and then you left. Like,
Because that's not going to break bad at all.
It's not
That's
gonna
not
it's
gonna
not
end
on
poorly
Callie
for
or
anybody.
Kamea's radar. They were just like, leave, go.
Yeah.
Like, so man.
That's just, and yeah, and then you just started inviting people to Callie and Kamea's wedding.
Yep.
You were just inviting everybody to Callie and Kamea's wedding, and they hadn't announced it really. You had just been like, you want to come to Callie? Do you want to come to the Queen's wedding? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And you're just inviting everyone, and I love that because that's such a letter's energy.
Personal mission to make it the best party ever.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to talk about. Now's the time. I've been sitting on Jerome and Selah for ever.
We haven't gotten to the wedding yet.
That's the wedding episode. Fuck, I'll have to sit on them a bit more. They're my favorite NPCs. I don't pick favorites. They're all my children, but Jerome and Selah have a special part in my heart.
I pick favorite NPCs.
We know you married them.
I only married one of them.
So I think we can. I'll try and go through what everyone did this episode.
I mean, I do want to talk about Kokanee though.
Yes,
Kokanee's
we'll get there.
We'll get it's Chatwater.
So we'll Chatwater. We're getting there. Chatwater, we're getting there.
Also, this is like, sorry, we're saying wedding episode. This is the first wedding episode Blackwater has had, and we've had two weddings. Episodes.
This is the Callie and Kamea wedding that we're leading up to, not the Neppy and Kokanee wedding.
Yeah, they saw the Kokanee wedding.
Yeah,
they
didn't see this wedding, and this wedding.
Why don't we call you guys Nepokanee?
No.
That's yeah.
What's my ship name with Kamea then?
Calmea.
Calmea.
That's what I call you at least in my notes. No, I call you Calmea in my notes.
Calmea is great. Nepokanee
I just call us the Light Keepers. That's just what I call us.
It's Nepokanee. Yeah.
Okay.
It's either Nepokanee or Kepi, and Nepokanee is obviously. Oh, we like Kepi.
I don't know. Okay. I don't like either of them, but that's fine. I don't.
You married him.
Sorry.
Part of the ship like doesn't get to pick the ship.
Yeah, they don't. But like, here's the thing. Can you imagine being like, oh, you know Blackwater, and you know the couples of Blackwater, Calmea and Kepi.
Nepokanee.
Calmea and Kepi.
Calmea and Kepi does sound good together.
So
I'm naming my next cats Calmea, and the other one's gonna be Kepi.
So Spooky spends a bunch of her time in Barmwich, and she meets up with Falric during the election, and like a bunch of the alcohol comes from the distillery to the Blackwater Keep. She campaigns for Falric to become governor of Barmwich, and he is elected, and it's wonderful. And she helps get her uncle back on track, and she works with him to kind of like help him reacclimatize to normal life because he'd been having a really hard time. What else happens? We do. Neppy becomes a probationary gravel boy. Callie starts her tattoo apprenticeship with Augie and gets really good at that. Callie and Kamea talk about who they're going to invite to their invitation or to their wedding. They talk about having a family for the first time, which made me cry. Callie asks Neppy to do the ceremony for them, to oversee the ceremony, and Neppy was like, okay. Being like, I'm Nep. How does one do that? How does one do marriage? How do we do this? Neppy only having recently learned what marriage was. Callie gives Kamea Callie gives Kokanee a tattoo.
Right.
Gives like
what's that Kokanee tattoo?
Kokanee has a cog and a sunrise on his chest.
Hell yeah.
Right. I forgot that Callie did that.
Kokanee gets initiated as a gravel boy. Brain drugs. We should probably talk about brain drugs since the three of us
Fuck you guys.
We did
Fuck you guys.
We needed Kokanee to assemble the brain drugs. I can't remember why we needed Neppy, except that it's
so So
No, Neppy knew how to.
I
Neppy
knew-
knew how to do
Can
the
I
thing
take?
to get it.
Can I take
Please,
the reins on this one?
Take
Yeah,
the reins,
yeah.
Lennon.
Take the reins,
So-
Lennon.
It was letters, and Kokanee
No,
together. That's easier. That is the easier
Mhm.
one. So it was you three, and then Yana was in Barmwich with her family,
Yes.
and Finnan was away.
Yes.
And then, wait, that's 5 of the 6 members of Blackwater. Where was Callie? Still in Wulfrene. And you guys were just like, we're going to do this. We don't need Callie right now. We're not going to call her. That's fine. And then you guys came up after distilling the brain drugs and you were going to do it. You're like, oh, shit. Before we do these brain drugs, we should probably get Callie's aura. So we don't, these brain drugs don't mess us up. I will say, to be fair, in my own character's defense, I had been wearing the talisman for a very
Yes.
long time.
Yes.
A very, very long time. And the 6 months that we were here, I was basically wearing it the whole time. So what happened was you guys came up and Lennon had already been like, what the fuck, guys? What the fuck? Doing this without me? So Tim looked at me and was like, you take it. Like, you take it. And I was like, hell yeah. So I take them. I flew up in the air, took the brain drugs that you guys just distilled. This is such a moment for me. This is so funny. Mostly because I love the bit that comes through it. Took the brain drugs, and the perks from the brain drugs, things Callie already had.
Sean, you were so choked.
It was everything.
Yeah.
It was everything Callie already had. Tim was
Stealth
like,
and it was stealth and martial weapons. So for anyone who's like brain drugs, we had come across, this is from the Barmwich arc, we had come across a bunch of brains in a jar, and the illithid down there had like a system where you could distill essence from the brain, and they'd figured out how you could like do it and inject it. And we'd figured out that if you make a high enough, like if your constitution is decent enough, you can get that ability. So like Letters had already gotten proficiency with a forgery kit. So we were like, okay, this is from a Gith warrior. He is proficient. He's like very good in battle. He's good with weapons. This will be great for Letters. Let's do it. And then Callie stole the drugs, and it had no effect on her.
didn't I also get a language I already knew?
No, that was from somewhere
sure?
else. Yes.
Yeah, that was
Yes.
funny. Don't do drugs without Callie. Like,
Don't do drugs without Callie.
like,
yeah. And then Neppy took the
we
talisman
weren't-
and was like, I'm taking it back.
For the record, we weren't doing drugs necessarily. We were doing scientific experiments to figure out
Yes.
how the brain drugs work.
Yeah,
and after
without
that
Callie.
debacle, we stopped the scientific progress. We just
haven't done them
stopped.
since.
We
Yeah,
haven't
you
investigated
haven't.
it since.
yeah, you should just invite Callie, dude. Like, she's not gonna-
No, we're fine.
it's
Thank
gonna
you.
happen again then. Because the whole problem here, it's not that she's gonna take it when she's invited. She just wants to be invited. She's also hasn't worn the talisman in so long because Callie's
Yes.
already kind of chaotic, and you put that
Yes.
little talisman on her, and she's like, "Goodbye."
It's okay. Letters has his own way of boosting his con. We're fine.
So before we get to what Kokanee did, let's talk about what Neppy did. So during the 6 month, Neppy like basically got her temple all up and running and refurbished. During the month of Nearavin, which is the holy month of Nepthisicat.
I do just want to ask, was it
Yeah.
in like disrepair prior to that?
It was Just Softly who'd been running it.
Oh, softly.
Sweet Softly. It had been Just Softly who'd been running it. So like Neppy had called for more priestesses, like to have them sent over and been like, no, this is like, we have to become a bigger presence here in the city. It is very important that we're here. The work we're doing is important, and we need to have a foothold in this city. So the priestesses had arrived, Valax and Gisa, and one of the acolytes named Isa, who Neppy named a Summit, which is like the special type of priestess who does all the work with the dead. So she had already got them started on that, and like that had been great. So during the month of Nearavin, there's a special holiday called the Night of Requesting, which is where you as a priestess of Nepthisicat can call upon the spirit of someone who has recently passed and ask for an omen. And so she went to visit Torin in Torin's grave.
Oh yeah.
And she asked if she was at peace. And she saw a vision or an omen. It was like a spiritual, like a dog, looking very healthy and well fed and happy. But there was a shadow that was cast over it, and there was a sense of contentment. And the dog started to look very nervous. and the dog seemed restless and concerned. So she was like, okay, that's concerning. And then they held the first Twilight's Grace ceremony, which is like an homage to the Raven Queen. This was before all the stuff with the Matron of Vengeance had happened. So generally all was thought to be well with the Raven Queen at that point. So she scries on Volcath during this time a bunch of times. And she sees him standing in a barren wasteland, ancient ruins of red rock and earth at the mouth of a massive cave and he's wearing leathers, and she doesn't know where he is. So my sense is that this is part of when he was like, Rysel was searching the globe for any of the Illyrians. Like, this is him out there not finding anybody.
He's gone on such a journey.
Yes, gone on such a journey, our sweet boy. She scries on Cora weekly, and he's not back. Or she's not back. She scribes on Finnan a bunch, knowing that he's to make sure that he's alive.
Boundaries or whatever, it's fine.
Neppy doesn't have those.
He doesn't have those. Wrong.
So, and then she casts sending to him close and like lets him know of when Callie's wedding day will be. And he says that he'll be back and that he'll be there. She starts, creating the hand fasting ceremony for Callie and Kamea. They do the brain drugs. She does a bunch of legend lore and a bunch of stuff. We learn about Kokanee's gun. We learn about Spooky's pants. She hires Codis as the guard. She hires Orally as the housekeeper. She hires Grecia as Jar's governess. She and Kokanee just like date also. They just have time together and it's really nice. And Neppy, for the first time, I think in forever in her life, relaxed. She just relaxed for like a couple months and just like had a wonderful, normal as she's going to be life. I was very, very happy with what happened.
I think that was 6 months. I think that was the time where like when we were told asked like what we were going to do in those times.
Yeah.
Where Callie was just like straight up. She was like, or like, I guess I was just like, she's going to spend time with her wife. There's not, or her fiance. There's not a lot that she's going to do. She's just going to spend time with Kamea for 6 months, like tattoo. And then a couple other things, plan the wedding. And I was like, that's it, dude. That's all Callie's going to do. She's just going to spend 6 months with Kamea.
We should talk about Kokanee's temple. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so this is what I remember.
Yeah.
He commissioned the construction of it, or I think he just started the whole thing over the 6 months.
He did. He and Nissa, he asked Nissa, and they did put in 3 months of work before it was open. Yeah.
He was like, upon this rock we shall build it. Yes. And then he built this temple, and then it was like, guess what, High Priestess? You have to make a speech. And that was his whole thing. It was like, building a temple, easy. Public speaking, uh-oh.
Yes.
Because you may have noticed, dear old Kokanee Lightkeeper is not necessarily the most charismatic man in the world. And so it was really cool. Like, all of Blackwater who was in town, showed up to hear his speech. And he cast enhance ability on himself. And I've got a very rarely used spell that I deeply loved called skill excellence or something.
Yes.
Skill enhancement, where I gave, because he already had proficiency in persuasion or whatever. And I gave him, no, that's the thing. I couldn't help him because I don't know. I think I don't know. Here. I tried.
Neppy helped Kokanee write the sermon. And basically this temple that he created was it's essentially in a round. It's like a circular temple, and there's this kind of pulpit in the center that is a workbench. So people sit kind of up on rises in this circular all around sense. There's a bronze statue of Arathis. There's this mechanical shutter system that opens the doors and lets sunlight in, which shines inside. It's the way Tim described it was beautiful. I know Matt was just sitting there just being this is the best. It was very cool. He and Nissa worked together. Kokanee and Nissa worked together on it a lot because she had been a follower of Arathis for a very long time, even if she didn't really know what was going on. And so he gives this wonderful sermon about, he talks about the journey of he and Arathis, and that Arathis is the reason he's here, and that Arathis is about choice, and choice is a gift. And that he, in following Arathis, has given, has taken the choice to rebuild himself as a person and the world around him instead of running, destroying it, or cowering from it. And he's been this way before, but he doesn't have to be this way anymore. And he wants to encourage other people to take up her mantle, so that they can see if they seek to rebuild themselves or build the worlds around them in the way that they feel would be honoring of themselves and Arathis, taking choice in their lives. They would do that. Talking about the need for repair and renewal.
Yeah. And I think he I don't think he critted, but he did real good.
He rolled very well on that.
For like a homeschooled kid, like the speech that he wrote, like Matt wrote, was great, but like it was very well received.
I don't actually think Matt wrote a speech. I think he just that was off the top of his dome.
Yeah, he, again, when he wants to turn on his Captain America mode, he just can.
So good. And it was packed. The temple was packed. There was like 500 people. Oh, here we go. Neppy gave him enhance ability. Letters gave him expertise in religion because he didn't have proficiency in religion at that point.
No, he didn't.
Clack,
Sorry.
Clack gave him mage armor, which was probably my favorite thing. We cast mage armor. We can't cast mage armor. It was just like mage armor.
Something happens these days.
Something happened once with Clack.
When he was in the scar, he can cast magic.
No. There was something happened once we were going to battle, and Clack went mage armor, and we saw something happen. And we never got to the bottom of that.
Yeah, we don't know what's up with Clack, but when he says mage armor, something happens.
I'm looking at Tim as he walks away with his water bottle about Clack casting mage armor. And he's just hiding and sliding behind the curtain.
Something happens.
That's exciting. So then, like, people are really like rapt with his performance. There's like people congregating. There's a lot of kissing babies and shaking hands going on. And this artisan approaches him, and human woman wearing like like a necklace that's made with brass cogs. She says her name is Lex and that she made them and kind of felt compelled to build them by Arathis. And so while they're chatting, Kokanee just inlays all the coins with like the pattern of a sun using like, just like alchemically just doing that while they're chatting. And he like encourages her to keep coming back. It was a really beautiful moment. And he feels really warmed by the presence and that Arathis was like looking down on him and happy with him. And Neppy was really proud of him. It was really cute.
He was like technically a high priest before that.
Yes.
But now he was like proper.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Techno pope.
And this was where you started setting up the taco and the ice cream vendor. So please, Sean, take it away. This is where you first introduced them because they were outside the party at the Temple of Arathis. Because you did the after party for the temple.
That's right. There's a lot of after parties going on.
This is when you first met the taco salesperson and the ice cream vendor.
Okay, so to stress, we were running out of time and like people had stuff to do, and I just wanted to be like, hey, I just want to like score because we got this big wedding showing up.
Yes.
And so like I need to just score like what's delicious, like a taco truck and like an ice cream sandwich thing. And I was like, can I just get that? And I thought it would be like hiring CODIS, which was literally like, oh yeah, you have that. But Tim was like, hey, what's up? I'm Jerome. You want tacos? I was like, yes, I do. And he was like, oh man, that ice cream chick isn't gonna be there. And I was like, yes. I was like, no, man, she won't. And this was after I'd already asked him that all I want was an ice cream truck and a taco truck. And so now there's this beef between Jerome, the taco man, and Sayla, the ice cream lady. And go ahead.
It was beautiful.
Go ahead, Lennon.
Like a little bit more than a beef now, right?
Well, this was it. This was it. You know, I'm gonna cut ahead.
Cut ahead.
So please these two are just like around, and like this big wedding is coming up, and Letters has taken it upon himself to throw the greatest street party ever in honor of our new queen and high princess. I don't know what Callie's
Queen's.
title
Didn't we
is.
decide? Didn't Tim was like Queen's consort?
No,
yeah.
I Lennon have decided I want to be a princess. So.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, crown princess sounds right.
Crown princess, we like that.
Yeah, and so they were both pissed. They were both pissed that they had both been hired to the thing, and they let me know. But I think it was dear old Callie who like went over and was like, "Hey, Selah, Jerome made this taco for you, like whatever, if you want it or whatever." And she's like, "Oh, okay, like you can like give him this," and she like send over an ice cream thing, and like, you know, things went a little well, and like we were to check, and like, you know, it was like they were all like fiery to begin with, and they're still fiery, and then we like check back in like months later, and now they have a half taco, half ice cream truck, where they do like ice cream tacos.
Yes.
And I still want to check in with them because I haven't checked in a while. And Jerome and Selah are my favorite.
Sean, I think you and me and Neppy should just all leave and go check in on them.
We should leave the party again. Should we do that again? And just go check in on a bunch of NPCs we love?
While we're setting up our ambush.
What's the worst that could happen? If we just all are like, hey, hold tight. We're going to go.
Does anybody want a taco? We're getting tacos or ice cream or taco
We're going for ice cream sandwiches. Y'all want some?
So I've been thinking about like very early stage, like we're talking about Callie and Kamea's wedding and stuff. And I'm thinking about early Callie and Kamea. What did I used to say when I put my hand up? I used to put my hand up and be like, "Hey Tim, can I?" And I can't
have sex with Kamea.
It wasn't.
It was.
Can I do my wife? Was it that?
It was just like, can I go see Kamea? I'm gonna go see. Can I talk to Kamea?
Can
I have sex with Kamea? It was just like all the time. You just put your hand up and be like, "Can I do this?" And
I'm gonna go do this.
Yes, you do that. Like it's great. So we got to like the end of that. Go ahead,
if
Sean.
I may. There was when we were living in Kamea's house. I was only there for the tail.
Oh my god, you might talk about my favorite moment also.
But oftentimes we would all be having breakfast.
Yes.
Callie and Kamea in absence, and Callie would just like come down, like chug a whole thing of orange juice.
Yeah, that happens.
And then just like
back upstairs.
Back up.
I think my favorite moment was one, every single time I used to ask that, I used to get scared because the first, or like maybe not the first time, but it was like one of the times that I asked that question, Tim made me roll performance checks for that. And I got like, there was a time in space, it happened more than once, where Tim made me roll performance checks when I went to go see my wife. So every time I've stopped asking him, I'm like, oh, I don't want to fail that. So I just like let it just like go by. But I used to have to roll performance checks.
It's very funny.
I think one of my favorite moments from that was just very early Callie Kamea living in Kamea's house. Kamea's not a queen. And then just like perception was Neppy was the only one that perceived just like things in the room shaking, but she didn't know what it meant. She didn't understand it.
I couldn't put two and two together.
Couldn't put two and two together, but like it couldn't. He was like, yeah, you see, like things shaking.
But you're not really sure why, because like Neppy knew what sex was.
Yeah.
Had never had sex herself, and was just like, why is the wall shaking?
Yeah.
Well, that's strange. Oh well.
That's great. And everyone else who does know doesn't have high enough perception.
Perception to realize what's up.
Because also at that time, Finnan didn't know what sex was.
No. And he wasn't there. And he wasn't there.
Where Finnan had like a crush on Callie. And like remember the time where Finnan had a crush on Callie and Letters was coaching him through it. But Callie's straight up a lesbian. Like
Callie
it
was
would just go over.
You're not my type. I'm sorry.
Like
I don't date men.
Yeah, I was just going over Callie's head. He'd say something. She'd be like, "Oh, thanks." Just like clueless. Just like
funny.
He's also so much younger than her. But yeah, I love those early moments.
Those were great. Very formative for like us as characters, which were so nice. And like you think about it now, and it's like, God, we're also, so old and grizzled at this point. No, it's not. It's funny.
Well, just like the fact that like we all used to live in Kamea's house. Like that's weird.
For a very long time.
For a very long time. That's such a weird thing to be connected to Callie's wife and like, oh yeah, we all used to live in the same house.
My favorite thing about Callie's house was the one time that me and Finnan just brought back that pack of dogs.
Oh my!
Because
and Callie
Letters
was like,
didn't understand the relationship of dogs and people. He thought it was like, these are like fun pets. Like
Callie asked Kamea if she could keep some dogs, and Kamea was like,
"No,
we can't keep street dogs.
Can't keep everyone." So we get to the end of this 6 months. It's a week before the wedding, and because Kamea's coronation was happening a couple days after, like they were getting married on a Friday, this was the reason that I made the calendar. This 6-month time jump was the reason I made the calendar. So it was just kind of like trying to figure out what happened, and I was like, 6 months, what months of the year? And then I got on a deep dive and just started creating all of it. Because up to like this, like I went back and dated everything, but so they got married on a Friday, or they were getting married on not a Friday, sorry, whatever the equivalent of our Friday is, and then the coronation was happening on the equivalent of a Sunday. Cantirlen is the Friday and Demelen is the Sunday. Sorry. I should know that, bad lore keeper of the date system I created. So they're like in arrival and anticipating the coronation, and the evening before coronation, there's like hundreds of ships moored, or the evening before the wedding, there's hundreds of ships moored. King Evard is there with Kern Burnman from Spellen. High Priestess Thecoria Doomwing from the King's Cauldron in Cinderfall is there. And emissaries from Falwe Tavar are there. The emissaries from Barmwich are there with Falric as governor. There's the emissaries from Clore, dwarves from Weirangdune, Heliag Stormstone, who is the queen of the Crystal Caverns, who we've had stuff with now with Searingdune. And like this big trade caravan has come down for the coronation. And we see this like large detachment of ships, probably 20 to 25 of them with lots of merchant ships around them. And they hold the symbols of Bakal. And so we're just like standing up on the top of the hill, and it's like Neppy and Kokanee and a couple other people just being like, fuck. And Kokanee sees a familiar ship. The ship of King Vel Soom, which has, is there. And Kokanee's just like, and I think we just ended the episode with Tim just being like, yep, that's his ship. And that's where we're gonna end it. And I was just, like,
we were standing on the dock. It was all of us the night before Callie's wedding. Callie had just been like with Kamea and like doing all wedding prep stuff, and then Callie and everyone grouped up and we were standing on the dock, just being like, we're so excited for the wedding tomorrow, and then the coronation, and then we saw the ship, and that's where that episode ended.
Yeah. It was like, fuck. It was like this beautiful, wonderful 6 months, and we were all like,
and then I think in real life we had to wait. Like, I think we were playing weekly at that point. And I think we had to wait 2 weeks.
Because it was over Christmas.
Yeah, I think we had to...
Yeah.
Was that just a year ago?
Yeah. This was the session 59, which was the 6-month time jump, happened on December 22nd. And then the wedding episode, which was the next one, happened on January 5th.
Right.
And then this is one of the first episodes where I actually start dating the sessions. So I have everything. You
start dating them? I thought you were married to Tim, though.
Thanks. So I think we have some time. Did we? Yeah, we can probably talk about the wedding episode. That sounds good. I think we can probably talk about the wedding episode before.
I mean, have we talked about what happens with Vel Soom and the? We've talked about the heart getting ripped, right?
That's after the wedding.
That's the episode after it.
Yeah. But like,
we haven't talked about it on Chatwater.
Really?
We've alluded to it. We've never actually gone through it.
With Kokanee, Matt about it.
Yes.
But yeah, let's talk about the wedding, but not the coronation. Let's just talk about the wedding. We've got enough time to just talk about that.
So we'll get halfway through this episode, then we'll just talk about the beautiful wedding and not the coronation.
Because the wedding is so beautiful, and having Lennon here for it is the best.
Yeah. So like just before the wedding starts, so the episode starts off just before the wedding. Neppy communes with Nepthisiket, and it had been a plan for me the entire time to have, and I chatted with Tim about it, to have Taya and the Order of Paladins be at Callie's wedding.
Fucking ripped my heart out of my chest.
And I had planned that I had been writing this wedding ceremony for like 3 weeks. I had been writing it and was like, I need to know if I can do this. If my invocation, like me calling, will do this. And he's like, absolutely, you can do that. I was like, great. So she had asked Nepthisiket, like, will you allow Taya and the Order of Paladins to be there? And Nepthisiket said yes. And she asked, like, are we safe in Wulfrene for the foreseeable future? And Nepthisiket replied, I cannot pierce the hearts of the wicked with my sight, which was allusion to Vel Soom. And then she said, will my homecoming at Philenis be a joyous occasion? because she knew that at some point she wanted to go back to Philenis. And she said, and like, I think about this because this is session 61. We didn't get back to Philenis until like 80 something. Tim said, or as Nephthys said, there is always joy in reunion, even in the darkest hours.
No, shut the
Right?
fuck up. That's crazy.
Right? I know.
Because that was, we're not there yet, but man.
Yeah. It was wild. So Neppy had asked everyone I had asked everyone to, like, your character is going to bring a ribbon to the wedding. Just let me know what color it is and prepare a little something to say about it. So Neppy, Kokanee and Neppy talk a little bit about like what's happening with Vel Soom, and she just like, they kind of just like reaffirm their just like care and love for each other, and she casts death ward on him the day of the wedding, and it's just like, nothing's gonna happen to you. I won't let anything happen to you. And then Finnan knocks on the door and is just like, Neppy, can I borrow you? And she's like, in a minute. I'm busy talking to my husband about how I'm going to, or not husband yet, about how I'm going to keep him alive. So then Finnan goes outside and he's like weaving this ribbon from like shadow and moonlight, and he asks for Neppy's help with it. And then Neppy casts ceremony on Finnan and like does this little like, you've returned, like, this is like your coming of age, you're a man now. Mm-hmm. So she does this little like coming of age ceremony with him and is like, you know, you've wanted to be a man. Like, if we've ever treated you like a child, like, we're not going to do that anymore. Like, you're a man now. This responsibility is coming with that. It's great. And then a whole bunch of people arrive and it's beautiful.
Yeah, and where did we go? We went.
It was like a 2-hour hike outside of Wulfrene into the woods.
So we had to hide from all the party guests we invited.
Because the party had already started in the city, and we were like, we have to get outside the city.
We also wanted somewhere foresty because we're both Melora gals.
Yes. And in the background was the Petch had something under like a large sheet. And we didn't know what it was. And it was just like the Petch were just like, there was just like something there under a large sheet. So we all like prepared something for the wedding. And there was like this clearing. There was an altar that had been carved out of wood. There was like wildflowers weaved into the trees. Chimera's parents were there. The council was all there.
Sobbing.
King Evard was there. Kern Burnman and his daughter Amira were there. Kamea's housekeeper Mara was there. And then
was Jar the flower girl?
Jar was the flower girl. Yes, she was. And then we all like got in our wedding attire.
That was the best.
Great.
The best.
We just all went around in a circle and said what
we had a lot to go through, but I was just like, no one was asked to plan this, but I was like, what's everybody wearing? And it became such a deep dive. Like, people were peddling up their favorite dressmakers. Like,
yes.
Oh.
Yeah,
it was great.
I think my favorite part about that was like, no one had really prepared it that much. But Em and I were both like, oh, wait, picture reference.
I was like, this is what Neppy's wearing.
Like, this is what Callie's wearing. Exactly. So
yeah.
No one prepared, but everyone was ready.
Everyone was so ready to engage with it. Yeah. Spooky was wearing like an emerald green velvet pantsuit. Yeah. She wasn't hidden under her cloak. And Wiggles was in a bowler hat with an emerald bow tie. Neppy was wearing this gold dress with like a big train, lots of like gold jewelry. She had like her like prayer shroud on, just like, this is Neppy in high priestess mode. Letters was wearing a sleeveless tuxedo.
With cuffs.
With cuffs and matching sleeveless tuxedos and cuffs for the Petch were all wearing them. Finnan was wearing a suit.
The same that Hulk Hogan famously wore.
Yes. Callie was wearing this beautiful light blue dress, light blue and gold dress with wildflowers and vines on it and like a veil, just so beautiful. There was Neva was there, like approached with Nissa. And then Kamea stepped through the tree line and they walked up to the altar together. Kamea's was wearing this like rich, like beautiful magenta purple dress.
Did we walk together? Did Callie and Kamea walk each other down the aisle?
Yeah. And as they were walking down the aisle, Neppy began casting ceremony with it, because she can perform weddings. This is the first wedding that Neppy had ever performed ever. And she lit a bunch of incense, and candles kind of flickered around them in this semicircle pattern, and Neppy looked up and she saw Torin in the tree line behind them. Yeah, which was really nice. And then I had written this wedding ceremony. Forgot what Kokanee was wearing. Kokanee was wearing a like very kind of like formal version of what he wears. If anyone has seen the wedding art of Neppy and Kokanee that we posted on the Instagram, kind of like that.
This is his famous and elusive
other
third shirt.
The third shirt. The fancy shirt. So when I was writing Callie and Kamea's ceremony, I was like, okay, like I personally, as Emma, have never written a wedding ceremony before. I've been to a bunch of weddings, know what I like at a wedding and know what I find boring. So I was like, I loved the concept of a Celtic hand fasting ceremony. I thought that was like it felt very Melora to me. And it was just like, it could be something that the two of them would do for each other. And knowing that like everyone around them would contribute a ribbon, like helping bind them together, and knowing that their community had support for them felt very apt. So I think that's why I did it. So Neppy started off the ceremony by honoring the gods and the wilds, calling upon the wild mother Arathis and Nepthisiket, blessing the place, honoring choice, and allowing the space here to be sacred, honoring the power of fire, the warmth of the heart and home, the depth of the seas, the moonlight, the steadfast of stone, and the strength of steel and order. And then did like a little thing like, the bond you make here today in the most sacred of places will stand as a testament to your partnership. I invited everyone to come up and like give them the ribbon. Do you want to say what Letters ribbon is?
Letters ribbon was my favorite ribbon.
It's perfect.
So
it was so good.
For context, like Letters was not the first one to go up with the ribbon, I don't think.
No,
was he?
We're not.
No.
Yeah, but like
you're in the middle.
Like Finnan comes up with this ribbon that's literally woven from like star and moonlight. Yes. And like fucking Kamea's parents had like a ribbon that was woven from like super duper fucking druid silver, and like everyone is coming up with like fucking power ribbons, and I think Kokanee like tinkered a ribbon that was empowered by his god, and nobody told Letters was the guy who like showed up to like the like Secret Santa with like, oh, I thought we had a $20 limit, and like bought like a family pack of like Reese's Pieces.
I love that.
And so he just had like a brown ribbon from a stationery store.
Reese's Pieces are Callie's favorite.
It's perfect. It was perfect though.
It was so good.
I think I recall what Letters said, and I know you'll correct me if I get it wrong because you got it written there, but he had this brown ribbon and he said, where I come from, brown represents family. And it'll oh fuck.
It made me cry what you said. It was so good.
What did I say, Em? I can't remember.
Where I come from, brown represents family. Your family will support you like the earth under your feet.
That's
so
so good.
I have found Callie's vows on my phone. I still have them.
Oh, bless up.
Can you read them?
Too. Do you want me to read them?
Yes, that's what they're here for.
Let me go through the ribbons, and then I want to hear Callie's vows because that's part of the ceremony. So Neva gave a leather ribbon and hoped that they would be durable enough to weather any storm.
Well, this is gonna make me cry again. Why are we
the council? Nissa gave a ribbon, a silver chain. May the wisdom of Arathis light your path, and may the passion of Melora keep your flame alight. Finnan gave a ribbon woven from moonlight in the darkest moments where you always find the light of each other's love. letter's ribbon that he said Kamea's parents offered a woven twine ribbon from the bark of an alder tree that said, may the roots of your love grow deep. Kokanee offered a ribbon woven from thin copper wire. May you both live the life you choose and the one you deserve. Yana gave a deep green ribbon when home feels far. Remember that you always have each other, and despite the distance, you carry your family with you. And then Taya and the Order and the winds just like wrapped around them, and like wove the rind around their wrists, like no ribbon given, but like made the like ribbons just feel a little tighter together. And then Kamea gave her an olive green ribbon fixed with an owl bear feather that says, with this ribbon, I bind my spirit to yours. I will never be far from you.
So cute.
Yeah. Okay, read your vows. Read your vows.
Oh my god, they're so long.
No, they're perfect. Read them. There's no rules here. Read your vows.
This is what Chatwater's for.
Yes.
Oh man.
For
I
making
might
you
cry again.
Do it.
Because I just skimmed them a little bit and I forgot a lot of what Callie said. Like I forgot what was connected in this for the past for Blackwater. Okay. Callie's vows are
Ting,
here we
ting,
go.
ting, 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 ting.
Before I left the labyrinthic class, the last member of my order took my hands and looked at me in the eyes and said, I believe in you. It was tradition for us all to stand in a circle, telling each other we believed in each other. I've always felt like I was looking at a good friend and telling them I love you, and no matter what happens out there, I got your back. It made me feel safe, sturdy, strong, loved, and at home. I lost that for a long time, and I wasn't sure if I'd ever be able to find anything like that again, till the day I met you. I was drawn to you in a way that I've never felt before, and the only thing that has ever come close to what I feel when I look at you is knowing Melora is with me. Your warm and inviting eyes and your magnetic smile softened my tough facade immediately. And then, Kamea, I believe in you, I believe in our love, and I believe in our journey, and that we are about to take together. No matter where I am, I promise to come back to you because you are my home. I love you.
It was so good. And then they did their vows, and Neppy was just basically like, these are the hands of your best friend. They will walk along, these hands that will work alongside yours as you build your future together. These are hands that will passionately love you and cherish you, comfort you. These are the hands that will hold you with fear and or hold you when your fear or grief fills your mind. These are the hands that will help hold your family. These are the hands that give you strength when you need it. And at last, these are the hands that even when wrinkled in age will still be reaching for yours, giving you the same unspoken tenderness as you hold here today. And then Neppy gave her ribbon, which was like a dark navy blue ribbon. And her ribbon signified the gift of time, and talked about the sense of like foreverness, as it doesn't necessarily mean the end of your life. It means everything that you give to this person in this life and everything after it. That forever is a bond and a promise. And then I had asked Lennon if she had any songs that she thought were very significant of Callie and Kamea. And I was like, please send me these while I'm writing your wedding ceremony. And then the last little bit of your wedding ceremony, I weaved lyrics from those songs in at the end.
Those are in the playlist.
They are, yes, in the playlist. And then the last line was, may you love each other timelessly in this life and the next. And then I pronounced them married, and then they kissed.
Yeah.
And then everyone was clapping, and then Neppy leaned in and was like, I think you kiss now. Like,
so good.
And it was fucking great. And then the Petch pulled this like thing
right.
under the
I
sheet
forward,
this. And it was a very tastefully carved statue of Callie and Kamea. And like Callie was like embracing Kamea, and Callie's wings were extended, and it looked almost like.
Where is that statue now?
It's outside of their house, Callie and Kamea's house.
It's outside the Blackwater Keep. Or not the Blackwater Keep, the Gatestone Keep.
It's outside of the Gatestone Keep.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You're ready to, whenever I get married, to do that for me, right?
Hell yeah, brother. You know my speech at your wedding will make everyone cry. You know it well.
I do.
So
Yeah.
then we had like the like private kind of little reception at the wedding spot, and then we went back to the city, and then a couple hours later we had the public reception at the Temple of Arathis.
Letters party.
Yes.
That
And
is
then
where Jerome and
that was-
Sayla sort
and
of
that was
sparks
outside.
flew. Yeah,
The big
it was a
public one
real
was
good
outside.
time. I don't know if we've talked about Duomo. Duomo is the drum circle guy.
Yes.
Letters sunk like 500 gold pieces into this, just like this
Yes.
party alone. He bought drums for the whole city. The
Yeah,
drum
there was
circle
a lot of drums happening.
went around 4 city blocks.
It was great.
Wild.
I think
So that
this was
Go
this
ahead,
is
Lynn.
this is when like everyone else is like, I guess this is like all the weddings I've been to. This kind of seems how it works too. But everyone was like partying. Callie and Kamea were going around meeting everyone,
Yes.
all the delegates and
Yeah, so that the big public reception was outside and you guys did your waving and it was lovely. There was probably like an obligatory kiss on a balcony. And then we were all inside as part of this like semi-private reception. And there were a large contingent of people. And we have time to do this and then we'll finish Chatwater tonight. There was the High Elder Council of Faway Tavar were there. Callie and Kamea met the dwarves from Weirang Dune. They met a group of Dragonborn from the King's Cauldron on Cinderfall. I met Fulric, saw King Evard and Kern and Svelen. They met Helix Stormstone. There was toasts. It was great. And then we see across the room, there is this tall figure, bald, wearing robes of black with gold filigree. He's wearing this yellow and black stone amulet around on a necklace.
Gross.
And Kokanee just like freezes.
Yeah.
And it's King Vel Soom, just like across the room. And then we see like we're like over here being like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. And Callie and Kamea are like, shaking hands and doing
We had to meet him. We had to shake his hand and meet him and talk to him.
Shook his hand in this whole thing.
We had to meet him, just like introduce ourselves, and I think Callie just like held on to Kamea's hand tighter. Yeah. I had to be nice. I had to meet him and shake his hand because I was married to who was going to be the queen tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's why everyone was in town.
And Finnan tried to bring Kokanee into like a big hug and cast seeming on him so that he looked different. And like Vel Soom basically was like, wish it was there to open trade between Bacall and Wulfrene once more, tells Kamea that he's ended slavery in Bacall, and this will likely ease trade negotiations now. And then while they're talking, Vel Soom's eyes just shift and look directly at Kokanee across the room, and Vel Soom leans over and just whispers to one of his soldier emissaries, and one of the soldiers just peels off and then comes right towards us and hands Kokanee like a note. And then like
Kokanee doesn't look like Kokanee.
And Kokanee doesn't look like Kokanee at this point. And we're just like, I was shaking. I was like, oh my fucking God, this is so bad.
Yeah.
And then we like looked up again and Vel Soom was gone. We'd lost him in the crowd. Neppy like gave a good perception, tried to perceive around the room, and nothing. So he opened the note, and Vel Soom had requested his presence alone on the Golden Dawn. And we talked to Kokanee, and he's like, I don't want to die. I don't want to go there and die.
Yeah.
And some people were kind of making some reckless plans, and we were like, no, we have to play this strategically. We cannot be reckless here. They know so much and they have power over him. We can't risk his life doing this. And that was where the session ended. After this beautiful wedding, please